Good morning, Wake Up New Zealand, Carol Sakey speaking. Right now I probably would be on Facebook actually putting my video on there, but unfortunately I have been banned for 3 days from posting on my timeline or other people's timelines or responding because I complained about a poster that said hate whites on it. So there you go, doesn't it say it all? But today I want to speak about something quite different, and it's about the housing crisis in New Zealand, which definitely is not getting any better. In fact, it's getting a downside worse. So wake up, New Zealand. It's a basic human right of yours as New Zealanders to actually have a roof over your head. So it doesn't matter what culture you are. I mean, the government are actually favouritising by saying that Maori and Pacific Islanders are virtually the only ones with this problem, but right across the board, it's happening everywhere with different cultures. It's not just Maori and Pacific Islanders. This is just another ploy of manipulation with the government around institutionalised separatism, so we make this country less strong and not being able to stand up as a nation to demand better. Us as New Zealanders deserve better. Okay, so your human right is to access safe, secure, habitable, affordable homes without the risk of eviction. You're supposed to be the freedom of eviction from your house, from your home. And the government's obligation to the public of New Zealand, and that is everyone, not just the minority. So it's their obligation to provide you with a home, not temporary accommodation in a motel. So they have the government have an obligation to the citizens of New Zealand to allow everyone to exercise their rights to live in security with peace and dignity. There's no dignity, there's no peace, and there's no security living in temporary accommodation, sleeping in the streets, living in a caravan. And for some people, this has become not temporary, but actually permanent. So it's just normalising the situation. So the government has a right. We have a right under this government that they home our children, give them permanent homes, so they can go to school in one area, not to move from school to school because they're in temporary accommodation. This is cruel. This is damn criminal, and it's abusive. Now, proudly, Jacinda Ardern has stated on the world stage that she's the first to produce a well-being budget. This is a well-being budget, a wish list, and there's nothing proud to hold yourself up on the world stage and say, I proudly am the Prime Minister of New Zealand who is the first one to produce a wellbeing budget, because we shouldn't need a wellbeing budget, but we do because we're very unhealthy. New Zealand is a very unhealthy country, so it's so damn unhealthy. So what we have are advisory boards, heaps of advisory boards and wish lists, lots of talky and no walky. So where is this well-being budget? What are they going to do? They're going to lean more heavily on Christian welfare organisations to get them out of the shite, to get them out of the crap. And those organisations are going to be stretched. Salvation Army, who provides thousands of food parcels every year, what would they do without the Sallie Army and other Christian organisations who step in and try and help people out who are suffering, who are in poverty, who have no homes no roofs over their heads? So, and yet, people in this country, there's a minority of people in this country, fascist groups, that actually target Christians, and yet they're the ones who are helping everyone out. Without these Christian organisations, New Zealand would be in dire straits, and yet we cut the hands off of Christians and we persecute them. Peter signed a UN Compact of Migration where it agreed upon, on the world stage, he agreed that he would give refugees and migrants who come into New Zealand rights that you don't have in this country. He would give them housing. He would give them welfare shopping that you don't have, and you would take second place to none. If you're on a housing list and a refugee migrant needs a house, you drop down the list. And that's a fact, because Peters has agreed upon it. This Labour-led government has agreed upon it. The national government set it up, and they're as good as the traitors as well as the Labour-led government. So, do they care about your housing crisis? I don't think so. So, socialism in New Zealand. We're all suffering under socialism. It's Marxist, it's a dictatorship, it's a communist government. All the isms making housing crisis worse. Marxism, communism, Islamism, all making life worse for the New Zealand citizens, because, these are the people who are ruling this country. These are the people who are torturing innocent New Zealanders and are slandering Christians and slandering and targeting New Zealanders who are guilty of speaking the truth. The label God's Own. Can you remember that label? I was quite proud of that when I used to go overseas, and I used to say, I'm from God's Own, and proudly say it. Well, that's disappeared, hasn't it? It's vanished. So, what next? Fascist groups? They're all over the place. Now, if you complain about migration and say, look, these people have more rights than we do, they have the rights to have a roof over their heads, you will be told you are racist, you are Islamophobic, you will be told that you are a race hater. You are a hater. I tell you what, these people are bloody warped. So, all they want is to look after, reward their own agendas. They are not thinking about ordinary New Zealanders and those New Zealanders that are homeless, those impoverished kids that are out there who know that, hey, this week we may be in this school, but next week God knows where we're going to be, and who rely on the parents to go to Sallie Army to get their next Christmas presents or provide food for them. Where's there any dignity in that? So we've got the universities in New Zealand who are allowing fascist groups to put up posters, have gatherings, hate whites. That's what we've got, hate whites. I complained about that to Facebook. What do? They ban me. So New Zealand is in very serious trouble, and part of the wish list is not actually curing the housing crisis. It's going to get worse. I hate to be the the bearer of bad news, but it is going to get worse because this is all a UN global plan, Agenda 21. See the houses going up? No, you don't. What you see are large pack and stack apartments near public railway stations, bus stops. Why? Because they want to do away with cars. Therefore, your kids will not have a car to go to their music lessons and their sports. They're making things as hard as possible for the citizens of New Zealand, and that includes the housing crisis. The homes for our next generation, or this generation. If you're homeless, you may end up in one of those pack-a-stack apartments. No pets, no gardens. Your kids, well, they are going to do without. They will not enjoy what our kids had, what I had. So, you know, it's a pretty sad story. So when I'm talking about stories, I'm thinking to the future, and I'm thinking to myself, I'll get my grandchildren to one side, and one day I might have to tell them the story about how we had gardens and we had cats and dogs and a rabbit in the back garden and a fish pond. And we used to climb the apple tree. Dad and Mum had a veggie garden and we had our own veggies. How beautiful it was. And then came along this global warming shite, and kids started to get indoctrinated and brainwashed by the UN education system through the UN portal in New Zealand, and things changed. We got a socialist government and everything turned to bloody custard. Well, I'm sure the grandchildren and the future generations, when they hear me say this, they're going to say, bring in the UN police, take her away. She's lost the plot. Perhaps we better use the euthanasia bill and get rid of her. I kid you not. I mean, I can see this. When I say, oh, you kids, there used to be private motor cars where we drove our kids to sports and to music lessons. Oh my God, they're going to think I've really lost the plot. They'll think I've gone nanas. So, you know, this is socialism at work. This is about year 2021, UN Agenda 21. The target is drawing closer and all these things have to happen. Even an intentional, manipulative housing crisis. Kiwi build? Hey, they just normalise it, that it failed. Everything gets normalised. Housing crisis is normalised. Impoverished kids are normalised. You know, it's just gone beyond it. So, wake up New Zealand. I don't want to be the grandparent to have to tell future generations of my grandchildren the truth about what it used to be like. I don't want them to lose that. So I advocate to be a truth teller, and I hope most of you do too. I would love you all to tell the truth. Never lose your voices, imprison yourself to fear. Never lose your true identity. Demand your human rights and be safe. Retain your dignity and your self-worth, because we are role models for our children and we must show them difference. We mustn't allow this brainwashing and indoctrination to go on. Our children need to have permanent homes. We don't need to be treated like battery hen people living in pack and stack apartments. That's not living. That's not even surviving. You watch the mental health stats go up. Suicide. Well, who wouldn't commit suicide when everything around you is just four little walls and pack and stack apartments? No pets, no gardens, just, what does the government say? Take a bike ride, go for a walk in the park, catch a train. that'll be all right, that'll make you better. Well, not good enough, just not good enough. So be a player in the story, not the future storyteller. Let's make it right for our kids and our future generations. We don't need socialism, we don't need communism, we do not need any of this shite. Wake up, New Zealand, now. This Labour-led government must not get in next time. We have to look at better ways for us all. Thank you very much, New Zealand.